You're listening to the Indy 500 podcast, where each week we break down a different, randomly selected album from NME Magazine's top 500 albums of all time list. We did debate doing another World Cup of Music type tournament, but let's face it, England, where the enemy is from, is cursed. They'll never win a cup, and our United States shouldn't be allowed within 100 miles of any kind of World Cup, even a music one. So to have them as the favorites in a music World Cup would be too much, even for us. But but maybe seriously try fielding a group of like 48 countries and debate who's the most significant musically. We got Germany, Scotland, Ireland. Who else are we missing on the pop music scene there, Helio?
I mean, I don't know. Korea for K-pop, Japanese
Yeah,
city
they'd,
pop,
yeah, they'd be in there.
uh,
They'd be in there.
South, maybe some African countries or two.
Yeah,
Jamaica for Bob Marley, and
Latin pop.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
all right.
But I think it gets us to about 10. So
Okay.
we only have
Yeah.
we only have 38 to go.
Well, not everybody gets into the what's the what's the Eurovision.
Hmm, that's true too. Yeah.
Maybe we'll just leave it to them. Anyways,
Oh, I mean, I forgot Sweden. How could we leave out poor Sweden with
oh
all
yeah,
their contributions to metal?
there you go. Anyways, thanks for listening. Please leave us a review, a rating, or find us on TikTok to see what we're listening to on a daily basis. Enjoy the show.
And this week's episode is brought to you by Angine de Pantene. If you want your hair to look its spottiest, use the best and only shampoo and conditioner approved by Kleck and Kahn. Angine de Pantene, available now in all Hot Topics.
You're a Sherpa, love it.
It is the only product that gets down to the microtonal layer of your roots to ensure that spotty shine. Angine de Pantene, in stores now.
One, one, two, two, two. Got to! Got to! Okay!
All right, so for our return sound drop or sound check for our return
Check.
sound check question. We're going back to the well a little bit. We are pulling out a version of Null Way, the game where I ask Helio if something is real or fake. It's usually, well, I don't know. At this point, it's like half the time it's Oasis quotes or stories. But today, the Null Way edition is the Morrissey list of malefactors, real or fake.
Hmm.
So, so a couple of weeks ago, a Morrissey blog post showed up where he simply listed I'm going to estimate here about 50 people, just the names and the title, the malefactors.
Yeah, I didn't read it, but I want to say too, yeah, somewhere between like 35 to 50 names on there.
Yeah, it's a lot, and it's pretty wide ranging. So I'm going to read you a few examples here. Yeah, and you tell me real or fake.
Okay.
All right.
Now, is this segment sponsored by Colonel Morrissey's Barbecue, or did they
Yeah,
wash
this
their
is
hands of
this
this
is
one?
sometimes on podcasts like you end up talking about your sponsor without them actually paying for a spot. Like this is one of those.
Check out Prep Day, by the way, folks.
Yeah,
There
we
you go.
didn't get our free barbecue coupons from Colonel Morrissey's this week, but we're gonna drop his name anyway here. Okay,
But maybe they'll unveil a malfactor sauce after this, and
there you go.
we'll see how it goes.
Okay, since these are just names, we can do these a little bit rapid fire, and I'll just tell you real or fake right off the top. All right, okay, let's see. Johnny Marr.
Uh, Real,
Yes, that's real.
but yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if somehow that was one that just for
Okay, that's an
bullshit
easy
reasons got left off.
that's an easy one.
Yeah,
Um, Meryl Streep.
fake.
Nope, she is on the list.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. John Cena.
I mean, if anybody could see him, it'd be Morrissey. So I'm gonna say real.
It is real. John Cena is on this list.
Wow. Wow.
Um, Somebody he calls old play.
Not Coldplay, mind you. Old play.
No, old play.
Let's go real.
Okay. Yes, correct. You're batting. I'm not keeping score here, but you're batting pretty good.
With Riss Arton
Yes.
of old play. Yeah.
Dennis Leary.
God, that seems like a perfect
Do you think they've
conversation to walk into
interacted?
between those two. I'm gonna say fake, but
You nailed it. That's one I made up. Johnny Marr again.
real.
Yes. He is listed. He is listed again.
I would surprise. It would surprise me if that wasn't the last time either.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to give you that one because, yes, he is on the list 3 times.
Wow. Okay.
Pro
They're
Tools.
just all different people named Johnny Marr that he ran
Yeah.
into. Yeah. You said Pro Tools?
Yes.
Yeah. He always strikes me as a Ableton guy like myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say yes.
Nope. Pro Tools is one that I made up. Let's see. Bigfoot.
You know, if you're gonna
What
put
do you
Johnny Marr
think?
on there 3 times, I'm gonna say yeah, you probably putting Bigfoot on there for some unknown reason.
Yes.
Maybe he did.
Big.
Maybe he didn't like
Bigfoot really
Harry
is on the.
Henderson's.
Bigfoot really is on the list. Okay, and
Wow.
finally to close out this edition of Noel Way, Noel Gallagher, but not Liam Gallagher. Actually, I guess I do have one more.
You know, part of me wants to say it's the other way around, but I'm gonna say it is Noel. Yes.
You got it. Noel Gallagher is on the list, but for some reason Liam isn't. And then
There you
actually, I
go.
do have one. I do have one final one to run by you. The entire list itself, real or fake?
Oh. In a like ultra meta move, huh?
Yes.
I mean, if anybody would be insane enough to put their own list of enemies on a list of enemies, it probably would be him. That way everybody's on their minimum of 2 times.
Well, I think you were thinking about it too hard. He didn't do that. And in fact, he didn't do anything because the entire list itself, as I was researching, I found a story that outed it as a parody post by somebody else. So it's not even, I have to sadly inform everybody who was into that list for a second there that it was a parody account that just made it look like it's styled in the same way that Marcy's actual blog is styled, but it's not real.
Yeah, because it got some pretty fair press, didn't it?
Yeah,
I
it got
mean, like, this
coverage. It
isn't
got
exactly
real
like
coverage.
yeah.
But yeah, the account that posted it, called Moz Posting, posted a follow-up that said, "Hey everyone, you may have noticed that I've removed my most recent post. I was just contacted by Morrissey's management team, and I was asked to take the post down due to copyright infringement and impersonation."
Well,
Well,
I mean,
so
it's the
plot
sincerest
twist.
form of flattery, right?
We were playing the real or fake game, so it kind of fits.
But, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, yeah, Meryl Streep, she had it coming. Let's be honest.
Well, I hear you got a theme lined up for us.
I do. You know, it takes us back. So grab your country western
Yes, this is a
barbecue.
bit of a throwback episode. It's a
Mosey
return
on
episode and
down.
a throwback episode, all in one.
Sit down by the fire. Wrestle up the ponies. Here we go.
This next one's a song we haven't played in a while. It's a song about a podcast. And the audience who loves it. Alright, let's go. I don't wanna be your weekend lover.
but maybe I could be a flying burrito brother. It's a podcast. You're gonna love it. It's the Indy 500. Thank you.
Thank you to the Grateful Dads on that beautiful theme song.
So was that recorded originally for the Graham Parsons album?
I believe so,
Okay.
because that's actually where I found it in the vast
there you go.
8500 archives last night. Was I had to find the episode, the date, and then dig through the emails around that date to locate the song. So yeah,
You
Graham
can
Parsons.
search in Gmail. You could just that's how
I
I always
did.
find it. Oh really?
I searched your name. I searched Graham
Oh, geez.
Parsons, and then eventually it was like the email is labeled IFP Country V2.
Oh.
So it's like, yeah, how am I gonna? But I found it. The most important part is I found it. And if I didn't find it, I could have always pulled up the episode and just clipped it from that. So either way, it would have ended well, no matter what.
Yeah.
But as you might have guessed,
the further I get from the recording of that one, the more I listen to it, I'm like, that may be the best thing that I've ever like sat down.
That's good.
Original.
Yeah.
Like I listen to like the lead guitar on it now, and I'm like, number one, like how did I get it to sound like that? And like number two, how did I play that? Like,
yeah, no, that I love it. I mean, you know,
I don't recall.
I love
it feels like
the bar crowds. The bar crowd stuff too going on it. It
that
just
adds
like the little touch. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Not to toot my own horn there, but again, like, yeah, the further I get from it, the less I like. I feel like it's not even me. It's like I'm listening to like, whoa. Okay. Anyways,
I do stand proud to say when our grandkids are listening to these things 30 years from now and we're old and disheveled, they're gonna laugh and say, "What? You really did that? That was you?"
Or perhaps 100 years from now.
In the year 2000.
Will anybody listen to the podcast?
Beautiful.
So, artist familiarity this week. Well, let's mention what we're actually doing this week. So this week we're covering the NME album number 351, which is The Byrds' "Sweetheart of the Rodeo," which was released on August 30th of 1968, and has actually kind of been covered on the pod before.
Yeah, we do talk about it a little bit back on the Graham Parsons episode, as this was kind of like a pivotal point in his career where he was kind of, well, he wasn't given the reins, but he took the reins, it sounds like, on a pretty successful act and kind of steered it in a different direction. In terms of familiarity, like, because of that episode, I knew of the album, but obviously when I think of the Byrds, I think of, There Is a Season and Mr. Tambourine Man and, some of those songs. But now that I listen to this,
and after Turn, they do have some countryish moments of their own before Graham even shows up.
Mm-hmm.
But I figure we'll talk about that.
Yeah, they definitely, like you said, we'll talk about it, but it just seems like they weren't necessarily opposed to the style that Graham took them in. It's just more of they needed that extra little push and handheld.
He didn't completely turn them 180 or anything. Like there was a willing group there.
Totally.
Well, speaking of, do you want to dip on into the artist history?
Yeah, let's talk about some birds, some doves, some game hens, some little chickies.
Maybe that'll be the episode title, When Birds Cry.
Ooh, I like it. Yeah. Now you're talking. All right. So yeah, I did manage to read a couple of Byrds books since the last time we met. I'll have to pull up the titles and post them in the episode guide later on. But it was super helpful in gathering some notes. But to start, there's a quote from Roger McGuinn. Roger at the time was still calling himself Jim in those days. But somebody asked him once why he decided to form the group, and his answer was 4 words: "I saw the Beatles." That was it. No grand manifesto, no folk rock theory, just a guy who spent years on the coffeehouse circuit. watching the world change around him, who understood immediately that something fundamental had shifted. He elaborated once, if you took Lennon and Dylan and mixed them together, that was something that hadn't been done before. That was the niche, and that's what the Byrds were going to fill. And, obviously, 60 some years later, it sounds silly to think, like, wow, you've combined the Beatles and Bob Dylan. Oh. But at the same time, like he said, it hadn't been done before, so somebody had to do it. Um, what's remarkable at that idea is how many pieces had to fall into place for it to actually work, and how improbably, almost accidentally, those pieces came together in LA in 1964, where we start off the Byrds. Jim McGuinn was a Chicago-born guitar prodigy who had been through the full folk circuit gauntlet, touring with the Limelighters and the Chad Mitchell Trio, working as a staff songwriter at the Brill Building under the tutelage of Bobby Darin. He was doing session work for Judy Collins and Hoyt Axton. He arrived in LA in late 63, frustrated with the purest rigidity of the Greenwich Village scene, and started gigging at the Troubadour on Santa Monica Boulevard. By
so when he encountered Dylan, he probably like actually encountered Dylan.
Right, exactly. It was kind of a in-person aha moment. So by early 64, he had begun doing something strange, folding Beatles songs into his folk sets, mixing the two traditions in his solo act. So there you go. He's kind of already, laying the seed for what he wanted to do. Good on him. Cover what's popular and surround it with your own stuff, just to keep the eyes and ears on it. Another member, Gene Clark, was from Tipton, Missouri, one of 13 children, and had just left the New Christie Minstrels when he walked into a Troubadour show and saw that McGuinn was doing what Clark would describe as, in Rolling Stone's David Frick wrote in 1990 Byrds box set essay, an already accomplished songwriter, a writer of unusual emotional depth with a gift for attaching long, memorable lyric hooks to quietly spellbinding melodies. He came backstage after the show and said more or less, "I get what you're doing." From that point on, they formed a duo. The third piece arrived without being asked. One night, McGuinn and Clark were picking in the Troubadour's lobby on the stairway, where the echo was good, when a man walked up and simply started singing harmony with them. He didn't introduce himself, he just found the right note and joined in. And that was David Crosby, Barney Gumbel's hero. Aspiring folk singer, a former member of Les Baxter's Balladeers, and a possessor of a voice that publicist Derek Taylor would later describe as belonging to an angelic choir boy plagued by childhood demons. Crosby's own take, "I saw this gap with Dylan and the Beatles leaning towards each other in concept. That's where we aimed." So again, pretty common goal between all of them at the time, and yeah, they certainly made it work, didn't they? Lastly, then came Chris Hillman, a teenage mandolin prodigy. Not many of those going around these days that I know of, at least.
Not anymore.
Who'd recorded with bluegrass groups, including the Scottsville Squirrel Barkers.
That's a
hell of a name. Yeah. And the Hillman. He was brought in on bass, which was largely new to him at the time, but as noted in that Byrds box set liner, he would eventually develop a unique style of contrapuntal bass melody that became quietly essential to the Byrds sound. And Michael Clark.
I always laugh because, like, some people will often like switch to bass, and I always remember. I think it was one of the members of Belle and Sebastian like had to like switch to bass, and they were like, "Well, it's not rocket science."
Yeah, I mean,
which is reductive because I mean, even the switching from guitar to bass. I mean, you do kind of look at it like, oh, I don't have to play chords anymore, but like at the same time, like it's a different beast, like keeping rhythm and stuff like that. But I
think the funny thing is there's always the like, in some level you can always tell the bass player who switched from guitar to the one who started out on bass and got really good at bass, where it's kind of like, you're trying to do too much. You're clearly a guitar player.
Yes.
Oh, you're a bass player. You know how to hold a note for more than 2 beats.
Yeah, you're doing too much, and you're not in the pocket, quote unquote.
Right. Can you play a walking bass line? Okay, then go back to lead guitar, buddy. And then lastly, they were joined by Michael Clark on drums, By the band's own admission, Clark was recruited largely because he had, as Frick put it, the best flaxen puddin' bowl haircut west of the Rolling Stones' Brian Jones. I mean, you got to have the look, right? That's part of it. But he learned fast. Chris Hillman later described the whole assembly with characteristic bluntness. The Byrds were the wackiest five guys in the world to put together. We had nothing in common musically and very little common socially, except a love of pot and the Beatles. And basically, that's what made the fucking thing so meaningful.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of a preview of, we talked about it on the Graham episode a lot, and actually other episodes as well. There's a whole like Birds extended cinematic universe because so many of these guys like join, leave, start other bands, sometimes come back. There's like
hang out with the Rolling Stones too much.
There's like a whole world of like guys who used to be in the Byrds. I mean, we already talked. I mean, we already said, hey, David Crosby. Like, and I don't know that the Byrds is the main thing that even David Crosby is known for. So
no, I mean, like clearly his Simpsons cameo is the only thing I knew him from. But yeah, I mean, like, I think that's such a funny quote though. Like, except a love of pot and the Beatles. Like,
yeah,
what band doesn't start off that way? Hey, you like this music? Hey, you like getting stoned? Hey, great, we're brothers now. That's awesome. Let's do this for a living. So I mean, at least they knew it. What gave the Byrds the thing most young bands never get, time, was a name named Jim Dixon. He co-managed the group and had an arrangement with the owner of World Pacific Studios that gave him free after-hours access. He brought McGuinn, Clark, and Crosby, first calling themselves the Jet Set, into that studio to figure out who they were. They woodshedded there for months, recording demos mostly written by Gene Clark. Hillman described it to the British magazine Zigzag. We were rehearsing 8 hours a day for months and months in this old Hollywood studio, and we just developed that sound and style from nothing. Dixon's most important contribution wasn't studio access, but artistic philosophy. He hammered into them, as Hillman recalled, that the music had to have depth and content. Let's not be a Beatle copy band. Let's go a little further out and see what we can come up with. Good move. Dixon got an unreleased Dylan track, Mr. Tambourine Man, before Dylan had put it out, and brought Dylan in to hear the band's electric interpretation. Dylan's response, as McGuinn recalled in 1965. So Bob eventually said, "They do it well," which is like a million word work of praise coming from him. So, they definitely took that as a flattering comment. The group signed to Columbia in 1964, renamed themselves the Byrds over Thanksgiving. The deliberate misspelling, a nod to the Beatles' own orthographic tweak. And on January 20th, 1965, entered Columbia Studios in Hollywood. Producer Terry Melcher, the son of Doris Day, as you may know from Reservoir Dogs reference,
there you
go, brought in the Wrecking Crew to handle the rhythm section. Hal Blaine on drums, Larry Knechtel on bass, Leon Russell on piano. McGuinn played his 12-string Rickenbacker, Crosby and Clark sang harmonies, and then Hillman and Clark waited in the wings when Mr. Tambourine Man. When Mr. Tambourine Man was released in 1965 in April, it went to #1 on both sides of the Atlantic. Impressive.
It was a good
time. I mean, that really is an all-timer, though.
Yeah.
For that era.
And it's funny how often they return to this well of covering Bob Dylan, or even getting Bob Dylan songs before they're out and then being like, can we have this? Yeah. And
I mean, like,
to his credit, they get a lot of them.
Right. I mean, I thought it was interesting too. Like, it's a move Hendrix pulled too, with like All Along the Watchtower. Kind of like, yeah, you got this song, and I think Dylan's was actually out.
I think he's just so prolific that like it wasn't a problem.
Right. I mean, it's almost kind of like Prince was, where it's like the guy can cough up a #1 hit. It's just a matter of how many does he have time to put out and work on, give it to somebody else. All right. Their Ciro's Les Disques residency on the Sunset Strip that spring became one of those pivotal live moments that changes everyone and everything around it. As Taylor described it, the audience dressed in sailor suits and length of lace, moving as if enchanted, counterculture beginning in a club that had once hosted Lana Turner and Errol Flynn. On March 26th, Bob Dylan walked in, went on stage with them, and blew harmonica on a cover of Jimmy Reed's Baby What You Want Me to Do. By the following week, it was standing room only. The Beatles named the Byrds their favorite American group. Oof.
Hey.
George Harrison sent a note back to Taylor. Tell Jim and David that if I needed someone is the riff from Bells of Rhymney. Tom Petty, writing the closing notes for that 1990 box set retrospective, called it plain. The Byrds created one of the handful of original sounds in all of rock and roll history. You know, having it been a sound that I think we grew up with, you know, is already kind of existing in the world. I guess I had never thought of it in those terms, but you know, in that, like, it had to start somewhere sense. He's absolutely
Yeah.
right.
It's hard for us to know that
Right.
the Byrds were the ones who are kind of originate at least the American flavor of, you know, basically what we know
rock.
as
Yeah.
hippie music.
Right. Exactly. There you go. Yeah. I mean, when you grow up in a world that already has Hendrix and Van Halen and all these different things, it's kind of like, oh, that's always been there. Oh no, it hasn't always been there.
No, somebody had to admit it.
Right. Exactly. Let's see. But the thing about great bands, the story of how they made their masterpiece is usually also the story of how they almost fell apart. And in between the debut album in 1965 and Sweetheart of the Rodeo in 1968, the Byrds went through more reinventions than most bands manage in a full career. Like you said, the cinematic universe is vast and endless with ins and outs, and you know, Black Widow and Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner sometimes, and then you know you have gosh, Kang was there once, and then he got in trouble. Gene Clark, the great songwriter at the center of the original lineup, left in 1966 early on, undone by anxiety, a fear of flying, and a growing estrangement from McGuinn and Crosby. His loss was enormous, though the remaining four persisted. They made 8 Miles High, arguably the best psychedelic single ever cut, built on John Coltrane's modal jazz and Crosby's interest in Indian ragas, and then watched it get banned from radio as a drug song, which McGuinn later said blew us out of the game. David Crosby was
Yeah,
fired during the
they might have
sessions.
wanted to rename that. It's a little on the nose.
I mean, it is, but yeah, now we can laugh at it and what was. David Crosby was fired during the sessions for the Notorious Byrd Brothers in 1967 after bringing in Triad, a Menage a Trois song the band refused to record.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
It's like his version of "I'm in love with my car."
exactly. Except you know, just probably grosser, and he already got him booted off the radio anyway. So, like, can you write one appropriate song, David? Jesus Christ. Michael Clark quit around the same time. So at this point, it was McGuinn and Hillman left to reconstitute something from what was left over. It was in this depleted, slightly desperate state they went looking for a new direction and found, drumroll please, Graham Parsons. You know, obviously you can refer back to that episode for a much detailed history of Mr. Parsons, and he really is a very interesting character, you know, in the whole rock history, and you know, given the sound that he produces in some of his music, he's very just off the wall, interesting fellow. I'll leave it at that. Graham arrived like a catalyst, dropped into a chemical reaction that was already unstable. Of course, Graham, born Cecil Connor in Winter Haven, Florida, and raised in Waycross, Georgia. He had a backstory that reads more like Southern Gothic fiction than rock biography. His father, a country singer known as Coondog Connor, committed suicide when Graham was 13. His stepfather, Robert Parsons, adopted him and gave him his last name. A year after his father's death, Graham ran away from home trying to make it as a folkie, eventually enrolling in Harvard, like most runaway kids do, in 1965, but did drop out pretty soon thereafter. By 66, Parsons...
And you know, one detail that may explain some of the oddness in Graham's story. His mother was like the heiress of, I forget exactly what kind of, was it like a it was like an orange grove like empire or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
But
like citrus farming or
um,
something along those
yeah,
lines.
she was like enormously rich, and so was he.
He was basically, yeah, trust fund kid gone awry type thing.
Yeah,
But hey,
and
it's good work that you get
it's
it.
kind of yeah, it's so he so he's always like like since he was 10 he's been obsessed with like Elvis and gets into Merle Haggard and Willie and stuff like that, but like that was never his like authentic life other than living in Georgia. He wasn't, he wasn't brought up in a
Right.
shotgun shack and
Exactly. He didn't know much about the Dust Bowl and
no,
hard times, and
he grew up rich, but he loves this music.
yeah, which, I mean, hey, if it's in your soul, it's in your soul. What are you gonna do? So by 1966, Parsons had found what David Frick described as the first true country rock group, the International Submarine Band, cutting an album called Safe at Home that would become a minor legend once Sweetheart of the Rodeo put country rock on the map, though almost no one had heard it at the time. By late 1967, the ISB was history, and Parsons was jamming around LA with a loose aggregation called uh, the Flying Burrito Brothers, who we also mentioned in that episode. Um, Anything just to catch us up on them that you think listeners should know?
Mm, I mean, I mostly know Flying Burrito Brothers from the album that comes after Sweetheart.
Hmm.
But I did this time around listen to some International Submarine Band, which
Oh,
is
nice.
really interesting. Because I think I think Graham, despite his stated mission of wanting to kind of marry rock and roll with all this, with country and all this other stuff, I feel like when he's given control, he tends to make it more authentic than what you would imagine that mission, kind
Mm,
of sounds like. But International Submarine Band is one of the spots where, like, I think he really was thinking about the 50-50 split and not,
okay.
like, I mean, if you listen to Sweetheart of the Rodeo, like,
There's some
this is
70-30 at
This
best.
is
Yeah.
yeah. I would say 90,
Yeah. There you
if
go.
anything. Um, yeah, it's very traditional and like he like yeah, it's a real Nashville sound. But International Submarine Band has moments where there's an interesting mix going on, and I
Okay.
think he didn't appreciate how interesting that sounded, as opposed to whenever he got a band together, he was like, but what if we just sounded like Merle Haggard? Which is funny.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely some cuts, we'll talk about later on Sweetheart where it's just like, is this even country rock or is this just
No,
country?
this is just yeah. There's a lot of
Yeah.
spots where it's just
a-
country. I mean,
And admittedly, there are a few that are the
yeah.
opposite, where it's just like this is just
There's
kind
two
of
or
a
three where it does
yeah.
actually mix with what the Birds sound was, and like yeah, those are maybe the more interesting moments on the album. But,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
yeah,
I would agree.
yeah, we'll talk about it.
All right. Well, as he was playing with the Flying Burrito Brothers, he had kind of drifted into the bird's orbit, as one does when gallivanting around LA, playing at the Troubadour and putting out songs. So eventually he did cross paths with Roger McGuinn and Chris Hillman, Chris being the one that formally brought him into the fold. The group was finding it difficult to play their songs as a trio, and they hired Parsons ostensibly to play jazz piano. What they got instead was, as McGuinn put it, this Hank Williams character. As Parsons quickly abandoned the piano for guitar, Hillman, with his own deep bluegrass roots, immediately recognized a spiritual brother. Together, they convinced Roger McGuinn to go stone cold country, uh, to commit to it, to make the whole record. And that's the one we're talking about this week, Sweetheart of the Radio.
And that we will after a
South Carolina. There are many tall pines.
It is the Byrds.
That's not the Byrds.
Okay, listen to this one.
I don't care how many letters they sent. The morning came, the morning went. Pack up your money, pick up your tent. You ain't going nowhere.
See, it is the Byrds. They're doing Dylan.
It can't be the Byrds. Play another tune.
Well, gather round me, children, a story I will tell about Pretty Buffalo the outlaw.
It's the Byrds, all right.
Nah, that ain't the Byrds.
For their latest Columbia album, Sweetheart of the Rodeo, the Byrds take 11 trips to the country. Why not fly with them?
Well, it's not often we have a
Deodorant
commercial
that
for
now
the
has
actual
extra
album. Huh?
protection ingredients to give you extra protection. And by Maybelline, the finest in eye makeup yet sensibly priced. And by new Pizza Spins, the crunchy, munchy snack that tastes like a pizza pie.
Ah, you have it.
Have what?
Your old secret deodorant spray. I'm collecting it. Mind?
We're not giving up secrets.
Not even for new extra power secret.
Is this different from other deodorants?
It's practically in a class by itself. Lots more protective ingredients give new secret extra power.
We could use the protection, dear.
New secret has lots more protective ingredients. Try some.
What's that thing? You taking up scalping?
It's my hair. I just washed it.
And what's that on your head?
Prel concentrate.
You might leave some for the third head in the family.
I just used this much.
Oh, for all that lather?
Sure. Here.
Oh. That thing looks pretty good.
That thing is your wife. There's the hairpiece.
Prel Concentrate for all the heads in the family. Give your eyes beauty soft as nature's own. Use gentle eye makeup by Maybelline. When nature hides loveliness, let Maybelline reveal hidden beauty. So easy to use. Ultra Brow's brush-on color gently forms a perfect brow. Ultra Shadow, veil soft color with brush-on ease. Next, Maybelline Fluid Liner. Finally, Ultra Lash Mascara. Colors, curls, builds your lashes long, longer, longest. Why look like this? Every woman can have beautiful eyes. The finest in eye makeup, sensibly priced. Always Maybelline.
Ahoy there! Tide's taking you out. Climb aboard.
Ooh.
Fiery sunburn pain. Put out the fire with Solar Cane. Contains pain-killing benzocaine, ingredient used by doctors. Stop sunburn pain with Solar Cane.
They came from another planet to conquer Earth. They had a thing that if eaten could keep Earthlings under their spell. They gave it a taste no human could resist. Pizza. They took this pizza taste and turned it into a crunchy, munchy, mouth-sized snack. You could almost taste the cheese, the peppers, even the tomatoes. They named them Pizza Spins. Can humans resist Pizza Spins?
Well,
Okay,
spoiler
I
alert,
love that
we
last
cannot.
one.
What's that?
I love that last one.
Yeah, it's pretty good. That's pretty.
There were some questionable ones in there that maybe you can't do anymore.
I really like that thing is your wife.
Yeah, the Prel commercial is the one I'm thinking of there.
Yeah, that's the one. All right. Yeah,
but yeah,
Pizza Spins,
we don't often get pizza spins. I'm gonna have to look up and see if that's still around.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't often get a commercial for the actual album.
Yeah, that's kind of fun. Back in the day. Yeah.
And it's also maybe an omen of things to come that the actual commercial for the album is just two people being like, "That's not the Byrds, is it?"
Take a flight with the Byrds.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe they should have. Yeah, I don't know. Like, taken a hint from their own PR team there. Like,
I mean,
the only way we could advertise this album is people being like, "No, seriously, this is the Byrds." Anyway,
a bird by any other name still smells as sweet.
Did you want to hit any of these? We've been gone for a bit, and I'm sure there's a ton of news that we missed. But
Well, there's definitely been, it's been a nice little hiatus of kids getting off to summer break and work stuff and everything in between the real world. So I'm sure we've definitely lapsed on some new stuff. But I mean, I was looking at last night things of note recently. Oasis has a thing coming. Is it the live album documentary? Is that
did that date come and go without like an actual, like, they posted a date in their like font
Right.
or logo style, and it kind of came and went, and did anything happen? Were they just really excited for GTA 6 getting a pre-order?
I think that's what it
available?
was. At the end of the day, I think that's what it was.
It was
they
the
just-
same date, I think, too.
Yeah, or they were just looking forward to the Great American Fair, type thing.
Of course.
And then they realized, it's not going to really be that great. So, yeah. But speaking of festivals, I thought it was pretty cool. Olivia Rodrigo has one that she kind of put together / has her name headlining on. Kind of a modern day Lilith Fair, women singers, songwriters, musicians. Pretty cool.
Yeah,
Would you go?
I forget what the name of that festival is, but I do remember seeing Chapel Roan, who often mentioned on the podcast, will be there.
Especially season 1, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I also see here that Justin Bieber got to announce the #1 pick at the NFL draft for his hometown.
Before we move on, it was
Toronto.
the Daisy Chain Fields Music Festival.
There you go.
And it sold out in 30 minutes. Stevie Nicks, Sarah McLachlan was at the headline. Yeah, but a whole lineup of lovely ladies.
Yeah,
Let's see what else.
so for anybody who was about to get mad at us for calling it the new Lilith Fair, Sarah McLachlan is literally there, so...
Right,
Not-
exactly. But
not
also
just
joined by
us.
Dice Spitz, Doichi, Garbage, Olivia Rodrigo, The Breeders, Karen O. So yeah, no, a good
That's a
mix of
pretty
music.
killer
Though.
line.
Yeah, exactly.
That's got something for everybody.
Exactly. Stevie Nicks alone, that's pretty cool too. But yeah, no, I'm sorry. Just to get back to what you're saying about Mr. Bieber.
Yeah, Mr. Bieber announcing the #1 pick of the NHL draft last night for his hometown Toronto Leafs. So do they do the draft the same way the NFL does, where you're like terrible, you get the #1, or is it a lottery? Or...
I think lottery of terrible teams. Yeah.
Okay.
Like the Kraken had a chance, but they ended up 7th. So yeah, they're up there in terms of bad.
Well, speaking of Kraken, if somebody was going to do that for them as the Seattle team, like who would be the person who's like, hey, they're associated with this town, and also why would Macklemore just get chosen anyway?
Yeah, dude, he would, right? I mean, am I wrong on that?
Well, I feel like this is a kind of outing where I don't know that you're going to get the A-lister,
right?
But maybe A.5. I mean, Justin Bieber is still a pretty big deal,
right? I mean,
he got
I
talked
don't know.
about for his set at the thing. God,
Right.
I forget what that even was.
Oh, when he did that live the intimate show and was telling people to shut up.
What fest? Well, what fest was that? It was the same one with Nine Inch Nails. Was that?
Oh, it was Coachella.
Okay, Coachella. Yeah, he did the Coachella thing where he like just went out with his laptop and like pulled up YouTube videos, like YouTube karaoke's of his old songs, and was like, "I'll just do these," and everybody was like, "That was awesome."
Yeah. I don't know.
anyways.
The first thought I had was like, if I was running a team, I'd pick like Bill Nye or somebody like that.
Okay, that does kind of fit. Yeah.
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 Like where
That's-
people recognize him and it's, oh, hey, Bill Nye's still around. Yay.
Yeah, I was gonna say Kim Thale. I mean, he's got something to promote.
That's a good one.
I feel like he's due to be like that guy for Seattle for a bit.
I mean, I think we're going to find out this summer too, like when the Sonics come back. So like 2-3 years from now, like, I don't know, do you get Pearl Jam up there to announce
years from now.
Pearl Jam to announce like the first pick in Sonics history, just because like they're such
Oh, yeah.
basketball
They'll
fans.
They'll be all over. They'll be all over that.
Totally. Yeah, it's a fun one though. But yeah, there's probably other news, but that's what crossed our paths.
Right. Yeah. Well, let us travel away from the accursed year of 2026 and travel back to another accursed year, 1968, August of 1968. August 30th of 1968. Not sure why I read it that way. But that's the date that the Byrds' Sweetheart of the Rodeo came out. On the radio, the number one song in the USA is People Got to Be Free by the Rascals.
People now, people now, people now, people now driving.
I thought it might be that,
now.
but it's not. It's close.
No, it is close.
All the world over so easy to see. People everywhere just wanna be free. Listen, please, listen, that's the way it should be. Peace in the valley, people got to be free.
So yeah, you may recognize the Rascals more from their other song where it's a beautiful morning, do 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 do. Yeah, that's them.
Yep.
So People Got to Be Free is actually their second major hit behind a song called Groovin', which they had released the year before. So I'm not allowed to call them a one-hit wonder. They've had at least like 2.5 there. But people Got to Be Free is a pretty quintessential like late 60s hippie jam. The lyrics are calling for tolerance, love, personal freedom. Their gimmick.
Some Mom Donnie band or something.
Yeah,
Jesus.
their gimmick is kind of mixing hippie music with funk and like R&B sounds, which you can hear there.
Yeah, I like the horns in there. That's pretty good.
Yeah, at the time, the song, everybody believed the song was in response to the assassination of Martin Luther King and RFK from recent. But the band leader, Felix Cavalier, says it was actually inspired by an incident where the band was accosted by rednecks after their bus broke down near Port Pierce, Florida.
Little Easy Rider.
I can't believe something like that would happen in Florida.
Yeah. Florida man at it again.
Yes. The number one song across the pond, where people have slightly better taste, is Do It Again by the Beach Boys.
It's automatic and I'm talking with old friends and conversation turns to girls we knew when their hair was soft and long and the beach was the place to go. With suntanned bodies and waves of sunshine, California girls in a beautiful coastline and warm up weather that's
I like it. So Brian Wilson says, this song was written by Brian Wilson and Mike Love, kind of purposefully as a callback to their surf song era, which they had mostly abandoned by 1968.
Yeah.
Brian Wilson says that this song was perhaps the least adversarial moment between him and Mike Love in the entire band's history.
Hey, good for them.
The two of them, in a moment of détente, had written the bulk of this song in about 15 minutes over a piano. Mike Love claims it was at his house. Brian Wilson claims it happened at his house. But either way, it was recorded very, very shortly afterwards. Actually, just a week later, it was being pressed and distributed as a standalone single that was leading into their next album, Friends.
Nice. So either way, though, even if it was a beautiful moment, they still found a way to argue about it after the fact.
Oh yeah. There's they just figured out how to fight over something inconsequential.
Exactly in true Beach Boys fashion. Sounds good. Yeah.
But also in true Beach Boys fashion, as often happens to them, whenever they experience a little bit of success, they immediately get upstaged and fucked over by the Beatles because on the very same date that this is hanging out at number one, August 30th, 1968, in the UK, that's when the Beatles released their single Hey Jude, which obviously would take over the charts shortly afterwards.
Yeah, for the rest of human history, basically.
Yeah. The number one movie, at least in the U.S. at the time, I forgot to look up the U.K. Sorry, Brits.
Chances are the same.
The number one movie in the U.S. was Hang 'em High, which was Clint Eastwood's first American Western film, which cribbed heavily from the spaghetti Western genre. But shortly after that, that movie would be dethroned by Roman Polanski's spooky classic Rosemary's Baby, starring Mia Farrow. And also Planet of the Apes and 2001 Space Odyssey are still kind of stalking around the box office at the time as, movies with long legs, having both been released earlier in the year.
That's a pretty good era.
Yeah, that's quite a moment.
Yeah, I kind of feel like maybe after that, though, there's a bit of a lull until like Star Wars and Godfather, things like that. But yeah, that's a good spot to be in.
Yeah. 1968 in general in America is pretty widely recognized as a pivotal and chaotic year for the U.S. When people are thinking about the 60s, it's very likely that they're thinking of events that happened in this year. The Vietnam War is reaching its most intense stages, starting in January with the infamous North Vietnamese Tet Offensive, as seen in another Stanley Kubrick movie, Full Metal Jacket.
It wouldn't be so offensive if we just weren't so woke, though. I think that's the thing.
Yeah. The North Vietnamese said "fuck your feelings" and attacked during the Tet holiday anyway.
Fuck your feelings, fuck your pronouns. We're Tet offensive.
So it was also the year that the U.S. reached its highest level of its highest troop levels of the war. Just over 500,000 soldiers deployed. There were hundreds of college campus protests being held all through the year, and the war was expanding illegally into Laotian territory, and then finally, what oddly might have been one of the more pivotal moments in the entire war, Walter Cronkite goes on air and says that he does not believe that there is a way that the war can be won militarily. He says, quote, "It is increasingly clear to this reporter that the only rational way out then would be to negotiate, not as victors, but as an honorable people who lived up to their pledge to defend democracy and did the best they could." Yeah, even the president at the time, LBJ, watched that and was like, "Well, I guess we're fucking done. Like, we gotta figure a way out of this." On April 3rd of 1968 is Martin Luther King delivers his "I've Been to the Mountaintop" speech in Memphis, Tennessee. And then one day later, he's assassinated at the Lorraine Hotel. Obviously, the assassination sparks nationwide demonstration, riots. There's shootouts between chapters of the Black Panthers and police. But despite the unrest and massive skepticism from white America, President Lyndon Johnson does pass the Civil Rights Act of 1968 shortly after. And the most significant portion of that is the Fair Housing Act, which barred discrimination based on race, religion, or national origin when selling or renting housing.
So let me get this straight. There's a president at the time who, while a figurehead of like social justice past, like did nice things afterwards and didn't just make a bunch of asshole comments.
Yeah. If you can imagine. I can imagine, not in our year.
Yeah, not right now.
Later updates to the Fair Housing Act would add your sex, disability status to the list of protected classes. In August of 1968 specifically, the big event is the presidential primary elections for both parties coming to an end at their respective conventions. And they both end in very different fashions. Over for Republicans in the GOP, Richard Nixon wins their nomination at the National Convention. He selects Spiro Agnew as his vice presidential candidate, and his main message is promising to find an end to the Vietnam War that would, quote, include keeping the USA's honor, a distinction that apparently needs to keep us in the war for another 5 years. Meanwhile, over at the Democratic Convention in Chicago, the parties fractured an angry primary, a primary that included the assassination of one of their candidates running, Robert F. Kennedy. Came to a head with a contentious deciding process between a staunch anti-war candidate named Eugene Humphrey and LBJ's own Vice President Hubert Humphrey. If you're looking at the timing here and wondering why, I think LBJ only has one term here. He had promised not to run again, and once again, in stark contrast to recent presidents, when he said that he wasn't going to run for a second term, he actually did it.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, and so Hubert Humphrey does win, and the win sparks basically like giant violent clashes outside the convention between anti-war protesters and police, which doesn't really help things in the general election when Nixon is allowed to run with stories and images of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The violent left, Yep.
Yeah. They had us down even back then. Also in August, a Marine named James Anderson Jr. is posthumously awarded the National Medal of Honor, and he is the first African American to receive one. He saved the lives of men in his platoon when he dove on top of an active grenade that was thrown at them in an ambush while on patrol near their base in central Vietnam.
Yeah.
And across the pond over in the UK, 1968 was, all right, say it with me now, Indy 500 fans, you know this song. 1968 for the UK was a period of economic pain and suffering.
We laugh because it's
we are back.
Constant, but it's not that we're laughing at them.
We are so back.
Yeah, we are. Oh my God, that's.
Yes, this is actually an early example of one of the many major national downturns that the UK would be facing in the coming decades. Sorry, guys. This is history. I'm not foisting it upon you. This is something that has already happened. Anyways, so most of the economic pain happening right now is actually caused by Prime Minister Harold Wilson devaluing the British pound in 1967. It hobbles their economy virtually overnight. Shortly after, the National Health Service has to bring back previously abolished copay charges for prescriptions. The traditional coal mining industry that employs over 500,000 Brits just a few years earlier is now in complete free fall, losing out to cheap foreign oil imports. Another historically strong sector, the textile industry, is experiencing a similar downturn. The cost of living and inflation is skyrocketing, and the government is attempting to make up the difference via brutal austerity measures, including tax hikes, and also a national ad campaign that suggested Brits should work extra hours without pay to help the local economy, which I'm sure went over great.
Yeah. Help the economy by not getting paid. There you go.
Yes. I'm surprised Trump hasn't tried that one on us yet.
The word "yet" comes to mind.
So the shock of all of this also profoundly affects UK youth culture, which previous to this exists mostly as a kind of unified national alternate version of US hippie culture with peace, love, understanding, weird drugs. But as the harsh reality of 1968 sets in, the youth culture in the UK finds itself dividing into factions, which are often openly adversarial with each other. The middle and upper class university students delve further into psychedelia and radical leftist politics. Their music becomes heavier and more experimental, with things coming out like Pink Floyd, Hendrix, Jethro Tull, the pre-glam folk offerings of a one Mark Bolan, aka T-Rex. On the other side of on the other side of things, the working class kids kind of turn their back on all of the hippie trappings like boutique clothes and peace rallies, and they create their own movement called Hard Mods, a movement defined by their shaved heads. They'd later be referred to as skinheads before the people we now know of as skinheads.
Yeah, kind of a origin point of the punk rock scene.
Yeah.
Over there.
So the hard mods culture centered around like their fashion is work clothes. But they also have a love for music that's being brought into their townships by immigrants, like Jamaican ska and reggae, which we talked about with Melissa, was it?
Mhm.
When we were talking about Massive Attack and how, kind of their origins is in, if you go back and listen to her interview, she gives an incredible history on how, how this immigrant music is actually
The whole Bristol scene. And
yeah,
exactly,
it's really
was just
it's
a
really
melting
tight.
pot, yeah.
These like it's almost opposite of what you would expect. These there's these working class, here in the U.S. Speaking, we're on a country episode here. Working class communities, like, they gravitate towards like American traditional and country and things like that. But over in the UK, their poorer towns are like really folding in this immigrant music.
Yeah, not to
and
say
yeah,
there
and-
isn't some chap around here in Carhartts listening to Indian raga music that's been imported.
Yeah, now
but
it's,
I'm
I
not
mean,
banking
especially
on it.
with opened up access and stuff, like, everybody's into everything now. But yeah. Definitely go listen to that episode and interview. Go listen to all our interviews. And yeah, just as you had mentioned, they're also kind of get into early examples of what we would call like proto-punk. Somebody listed the band The Deviants as one that's from that time. 1968 was also the first ever Isle of Wight festival at a place called Hell's Field, which ironically is near God's Hill. Weekend tickets cost only £1, and you got to see acts such as Jefferson Airplane, The Move, a band called Smile, which was a Brian May and Roger Taylor band that was pre-Queen, and also T-Rex, as we had just mentioned, and a bunch of others that I did not recognize.
Yeah, maybe it's a year later. I think Hendrix played it. I mean, I think there was a good run where if you were a relevant rock band from the mid 60s to mid 70s, you played Isle of Wight.
Oh yeah.
I think pretty much everybody from that era too has a live album or something around then. There's a Who album where they do the entire Tommy straight through
And
at Isle of Wight.
That's from the
Yeah.
fest.
Yeah. I forget which year specifically, but probably 70-ish, 71.
Yeah. Well, that brings us to the release of this week's album, Sweetheart of the Rodeo, August 30th, 1968. The Byrds.
That's not the Byrds.
It is the Byrds. So I had a spiel here for a second. So bear with me for a moment here. But Helio, are you familiar with like Elon Musk's like whole history with like the X thing?
Like him taking ecstasy and making decisions that affect millions of people on it?
No. And also his drug of choice is ketamine, reportedly.
That's true,
reportedly.
yeah.
No, but so since the late 90s, like Elon Musk, noted asshat, has been trying to make X like into his personal brand. So he apparently like bought or stumbled into owning the URL x.com, and he was like so hyped and excited about having that like he became obsessed with like turning everything he could into X.
Oh, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, so his very first foray ever into the tech industry was like this partnership with some of the guys where they created like a really early online banking and financial like web service. And he insisted on calling it x.com, of course, because he has the URL He wants to use it. But everyone else in the company was like, no, that sounds like a porn site. A few years later, that site
that you can get adult images on the internet.
yeah. So a few years later, that website and company merges with another banking website called Confinity. So shortly after that, they like abandon all of Elon's company's tech. They abandoned the x.com URL because, of course, there's now more people in the room who are like, no, this sucks. This is stupid. And they eventually buy him out because, I mean, he's annoying and loathed by everyone all the time, even back then, of course. But anyways, that company went on to become PayPal. And his kind of buyout and stocks and stuff kind of formed the base of the fortune he has, and which he uses to kind of get into other companies like Tesla and pretend to be like the founding engineer over there, even though he's not. He's just a rich guy.
Yeah.
He's a rich guy who used to kind of have a website that was part of PayPal that they stopped using as part of PayPal and then gave him a bunch of money. So everyone
So
keep
what
that
you're
in mind.
saying is like David Crosby is the Birds edition of Elon Musk because they just wanted him out of there and his ideas
Well,
are stupid.
Yeah, well, I'll get to why this is relevant, but yeah, like basically, so he goes on, he names his aerospace company SpaceX. There's a Tesla Model X. One of his kids with Grimes is named X. And then also, of course, famously, he buys Twitter and against everyone's advice abandons the like globally recognized name and branding of Twitter so he can turn it into x.com. Anyways, all of this is to say that what this X thing is to Elon, that's what making country music popular and rock and pop is to Graham Parsons. Graham is similarly obsessed with bringing country music into contemporary like pop and rock. He heard Merle Haggard once and it rewired his brain like a cordyceps mushroom. With spores whispering to him day and night, like you gotta make these damn hippies love bluegrass and pedal steel.
Put away the delay pedal. They need twang.
Yeah, they need. you gotta do this. You gotta do this for me, Graham. Yeah, but he often refers to this this mission or this idea as cosmic American music, which he describes as a combination of American roots, honky tonk, folk, soul, and contemporary music. But as I mentioned before, usually when he gets his hand on the wheel, it just turns into straight up Nashville honky tonk country music. For whatever reason. I mean, who knows? I think he just likes doing that more, and he doesn't want to. He just seems to not want to admit to himself that that's what he wants to do. So like when he talks to people about it, he's like, nah, well, there's going to be rock in there. There's going to be some funk and folk. And then he gets in and he's like, psych, bitch. Go pick up that pedal steel guitar.
As a musician in what little form I am, like, I can't tell you how many like things I want to infuse in my sound. And then I just end up like copying a Tool riff or something like that. Or, it's just kind of like, well, it's great that that's your ambition, but what are you actually going to make when it comes down to it?
Yeah, it's like that meme from the Jeffrey Dahmer Netflix where he's like, he's like, I told you you can go right after we watch this video or whatever. Graham is constantly grabbing people and being like, you can leave after we play.
After we make a country bluegrass soul folk.
After we cover this Willie Nelson song. So anyways, there's an interview with a website called musicconnection.com where Jim or Roger McGuinn talks about this album and Graham a lot. But he has a quote talking about Graham joining the Byrds. He says, quote, "We were rehearsing and Graham came in and there was a keyboard of some kind and I asked Graham if he could play in the McCoy Tyner because I wanted to continue in the vein of their release 8 Miles High and kind of have a jazz fusion with a John Coltrane kind of thing. And he sat down and he played a little of that style of piano and I thought, hey, this guy's got talent. We can work with him. And that was my original thought. I did not know that he had another agenda and that him and Chris Hillman were kind of in cahoots and were going to sway the whole thing into country music. But I really liked country music, having come up in folk, and I always considered country music, especially Hank Williams, as and traditional country music, as folk music. So it wasn't alien to me. Later in the same interview, McGuinn notes an important detail for this moment in the Byrds. So only Roger McGuinn and Chris Hillman are actual signed members of the Byrds. They kind of made a pact with each other after so many people had come and gone previously that things would be easier if it was just them and everybody else in the band are hired hands. And that includes Graham Parsons. Interestingly, do you remember who else has this same arrangement going on that kind of pissed people off for a second? Does it sound familiar?
It does.
I know it from the look on your face. It does sound familiar, but I can.
It kind of sounds like Prince, but
I mean, yeah. Prince.
He was a little more inclusive by Purple Rain.
Yeah.
God, who is it?
But the people I was actually thinking of was Omar and Cedric from the Mars Volta. At some point on their CDs, I don't know if it was like the actual legal arrangement. It must have been, but at some point on their CDs they started printing out like the Mars Volta is just Omar and Cedric, like and the partnership between us, like implying that everybody else in the band is.
We knew there was 10 other people contributing, but yeah, it was like that was their project, their name on it. That makes sense.
Yeah. But as noted, pretty much as soon as he was hired to play piano in the Byrds, Graham wastes absolutely no time doing what he does, which is trying to make everybody else in the band play country music. And of course, the first domino to fall was Chris Hillman. Hillman, as we noted before, was raised on bluegrass music. He had already kind of previously sprinkled country sounds into Byrds albums. He had also invited bluegrass guitar legend and recurring IFP character Clarence White, the inventor of the B-Bender, to play on some Byrds records already, even before Graham got in there. So, it's not like it's not Graham holding everybody at gunpoint. Like they are into this before he shows up.
Right. They weren't shy about it.
No. But, after a lot of long nights kind of staying up together, singing old country songs, doing drugs and whatnot,
as one does,
Hillman kind of accepts Parsons' pitch for American Cosmic Music, and they both agree that they are going to together kind of pitch Roger McGuinn on abandoning Roger's idea for their next album, which was like Roger's idea was going to be a like sprawling double LP that was going to cover like every single American style of music from like pre-Civil War tunes all the way out to like space synth like experimental music. But they came in and they convinced him, maybe we should just do traditional Nashville country. Imagine that. But that is what they all eventually kind of sign on to. McGuinn agrees. He hadn't like really fully fleshed out his idea for that album just yet, and he thought, maybe this will bring in a kind of new kind of fan for the Byrds. Again, Roger, being quoted in that Music Connection interview, says, quote, "I really loved Sweetheart of the Radio. I wasn't upset about it." It being his album that they're replacing. I wasn't upset about it. It wasn't a band meeting and there wasn't like a vote taken. It was simply that I couldn't get anyone else to go along with me on the bigger idea. And the interviewer says, "And contrary to some reports, there seemed to be unity and cohesion in the band on this project, and it's not a big power struggle about musical direction of this version of the Byrds." And McGuinn says, "No, it was perfectly fun. It was really just fun until the end, and then it fell apart." So I think sometimes the kind of surface reading of this album is Graham forcing his way in, doing his thing, and like Roger not being a willing participant. But I think it falls somewhere in the middle. I don't think they were as adversarial as most people would imagine when you kind of hear the story of this album.
It makes for a more interesting narrative to say they are, but yeah.
But I do also think that this interview is for the Legacy edition, so it's it's not contemporary. It's a long time after.
Yeah.
I do also think that Roger is probably smoothing things over a little bit now that now that Graham is one, dead, and two, kind of a legend.
And hey, it's a landmark album.
I don't think you want to. Yeah, I don't think you want to be going around doing press for Sweetheart of the Radio and being like, I hate this guy.
That guy is a cock.
Yeah. So, one of the things that Graham convinces them to do is pick up and move the whole operation to Nashville to record this album. And the studio that they find was of pretty unimpeachable pedigree. It's called Quonset Hut Studio, also sometimes known as Bradley Studios. And it was the very first commercial studio established in the southwest portion of downtown Nashville, a neighborhood that later becomes known as Music Row. In 1962, the building gets bought out by Columbia Records. It's away from its original owners, and they upgrade a lot of the facility, but they smartly keep the original Quonset Hut studio pretty much intact with like original equipment and architecture.
Did you happen to get when that was started, that studio?
That studio? Why don't you Google that? I do know 1962 is when it got taken over, but I don't remember exactly when it was founded.
Almost there. 54.
54. There you go. Some other names that recorded there include Bob Dylan, Johnny Cash, Charlie Rich, Merle Haggard, Patsy Cline, Tammy Wynette. Not lightweights.
If you're looking to tap into the aura of a place, I mean, to make a country album, that's
that's
a pretty good way to go.
I think we may have told this story on the pod before, but I don't mind running through it again. This studio is also where guitar distortion and fuzz as a effect is actually born. So I'll see if I can run through this pretty fast because I think we mentioned it before. And also, if you want to hear the long version, you can check out there's a YouTube video by a guitar pedal maker and YouTube guy named Josh Scott called The History of Guitar Distortion, where he gives a longer version of this. But basically, in 1961, there's a recording session going on for a song called Don't Worry by a guy named Marty Robbins. And somewhere while recording a guitar part, this guitarist named Grady Martin is plugged into the console, and one of the transformers inside the mixing console like breaks down or explodes. And when they play it back, his guitar has this kind of blown out, distorted sound. And half the people in the room, including Grady himself, think it's like the worst thing they've ever heard. And half the room is kind of like, I don't know, this is kind of cool. And they kind of like how it makes...
Your kids are gonna love it.
Yeah, exactly. They kind of like how it makes his guitar part stand out. But anyways, the pro distortion faction wins out. The single goes out with that defective sound, and it's a giant hit. People love it. People love it so much that a bunch of artists, including Nancy Sinatra in particular, like come to the studio and they're asking like, how did you do that? Like, I want that sound on my guitar. And sadly, by the time that Nancy Sinatra shows up, they've fixed the console so it doesn't do that anymore, even though now a ton of people are coming in and being like, I want that.
They want that sound.
Yeah. So their solution is, after the console has already been fixed, their solution is they make their own little breakout electronics box that does the same thing, which is effectively the world's first guitar distortion pedal.
I mean, it's so funny that, I mean, like, of all the ways for that to be created, but it totally makes sense. literally by accident, and then
And you can
we fixed the
and you
problem.
can look
Yeah.
up and listen to "Don't Worry" by Marty Robbins on like Spotify and stuff, and hear it. It's pretty jarring.
Yeah. It's a good one.
So by the time the Byrds arrive in Nashville, they are fully under the terrible siren song of Graham Parsons' mission to make his cosmic American music. They have bought themselves boots and cowboy hats. They begin amassing more authentic instruments to the Nashville sound. They kind of immerse themselves in the local music scene. They cut their hair as to not tried to not get clocked as
Yeah.
British hippies who were stomping
Don't wanna
around Nashville.
Right.
Trying not to get
stomped on by
murdered.
some rednecks. Yeah.
And they start collecting up kind of a killer's row of Nashville session players, including steel pedal guitarist Lloyd Green, who I might argue is like the lead number one instrument on the whole thing.
Yeah.
Graham loves the steel guitar. I do too. Banjoist John Hartford, and they also get back Mr. Clarence White, previously mentioned.
And I'm looking at the credits too. They had JD Manis on there on a couple songs too, on the pedal steel. And then a couple different piano players, cycle through Earl Ball and Barry Goldberg. So yeah, really just a collection of studio wonderkind there.
Yeah. So here's Mike McGuinn again in that Music Connection magazine or website. I don't know if it's a magazine. Anyways, he says, quote, "We all got along great with the musicians in Nashville and stayed at this Ramada Inn, and we would play poker all day until the sessions at night and had a ball. We were country boys. We got into it. I mean, we had cowboy hats and boots. I loved it. It was a very enjoyable experience, but we were just role playing. Even Graham, he wasn't that kind of kid. He was a folky, he was a preppy, and basically Graham had got turned on by Elvis when he was 10, and that kind of changed his life, and he wanted to be a rock star, which he did eventually become. And then he got into country, and he got into Buck Owens and Waylon and Willie. And that's funny that they mentioned poker, because I'm trying to remember, wasn't it Chris Hillman who it was, or maybe it wasn't it Chris Hillman who they said developed a poker addiction basically, and almost ruined the Byrds.
Yep, I do recall that.
I had that mixed up with the guys in Cannes who did the same thing with playing chess and nearly derailed their entire band. I guess this is just the thing with musicians. Watch out. Do not give them a little game to play.
Yeah, I think their personalities are gonna shine through, aren't they?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Are you finding the story?
It basically says the Chris Hillman poker problem refers to either the wild, distracting late-night poker games he frequently played with Graham Parsons, or a specific incident in his memoir where a heavy-drinking local threatened him and his friends over the results of a game.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
So basically the story of the song "Me and My Uncle."
Yep, exactly.
The recording sessions for this album take place in March of 1968. There's a bit of additional work later at Columbia's Hollywood Studios. And
I would like to read this quick excerpt, actually.
Go for it.
This is from No Depression, a Chris Hillman memoir. He recalled a harrowing evening while he was living in Topanga Canyon. He and a few locals, including a renowned horse trainer named Bill Wilds, got together for a, in quote, Wild West-style poker night. As the night progressed, a heavily intoxicated player accused Wilds of cheating. Wilds immediately jumped up and grabbed a pool cue as a weapon, escalating the game into a tense standoff that Hillman said felt like an old saloon movie. There you go.
They're living the life.
That's the Byrds.
Yeah. So, the story of Parsons kind of taking full control of the band during these sessions, it isn't just, an urban legend or an apocryphal story. When you listen to, you can get a hold of I think they call it the Legacy Edition, which is the big 2-disc version of this album. There's outtakes, demos, rehearsal recordings, and things from the sessions. And you can really hear Graham is leading the band. The song selections mostly consist of country standards. There's a few Graham Parsons originals, like Hickory Wind, 100 Years From Now, and Lazy Days. There's a few, I believe 2 of the Byrds specialty, which is covers of Bob Dylan songs. I think it's You Ain't Going Nowhere, the opener, and I think Nothing Was Delivered is the closer.
Yeah, so they bookended it, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. A fun note here, McGuinn actually messes up the lyrics of You Ain't Going Nowhere. He says, pack up your money, pick up your tent, which there's a re-recorded version by Bob Dylan in 1971 where he does the song and he says pointedly when he sings it, he says, pack up your money and put up your tent, McGuinn.
Hey, that's pretty good to get called out in a Bob Dylan song by Bob Dylan. Yeah.
You've been immortalized.
Yeah.
If you
weren't already, you are now. Yeah.
Leader of the Byrds. Yeah. So something also that may have been kind of lost in the interim time here. You know, Roger McGuinn mentions that, you know, they're basically role playing. Like they aren't they aren't really, you know, they aren't really country people. But he said,
yeah,
you know, but
if you want to be complimentary, it's method acting. I mean,
yeah. I mean, they try their darndest. there's it's not for a lack of effort, but I mean, in the end, you know, they didn't grow up here. But anyways, what I was saying is a lot of the song selections here are kind of ironic and maybe a little comedic. So, you know, you hear things like, you know, the Byrds are doing I Am a Pilgrim, which is an American staple going back to like 1800, or The Christian Life, which is a cover of a evangelical Christian band.
The Louvin Brothers, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you pick up Sweetheart of the Radio and you don't know much about it, you'll hear those songs and you're like, oh, this must be...
What happened to these guys? I thought these guys were like party animals.
I mean, even if you don't know who they are, you know, you're listening to it and you're like, oh, well, these guys are Christians. They like the Christian life. But, you know, it's supposed to be funny.
Yeah. I love Blue Canadian Rockies, you know, singing by a guy from California and from Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, again, they just like the song.
Yeah, there's a lot of like winking and kind of sly. There's a little sly attitude to the whole thing. Hickory Wind is a Parsons original that he's been carrying around since International Submarine Band days. He often re-records it pretty much anytime he gets a band or a studio. There's a Billboard article about the album that says, quote, it's a bittersweet ode to Greenville, about this song. It says, quote, it's a bittersweet ode to Greenville, South Carolina, where he lived as a teenager and first picked up a guitar. Chris Hillman loved the song so much that he called it Parsons' greatest work, saying in the liner notes to Parsons' CD compilation, quote, it's very descriptive with vivid imagery, and Graham was shuffled off to prep school and lots of money. He was a lonely kid. Life in Prison is a cover of a Merle Haggard song. Now here's an interesting one. The track You Don't Miss Your Water is actually a cover of a Stax record artist named William Bell. For more info on Stax Records, go check out our episode on Isaac Hayes' Hot Buttered Soul. But that's actually one of the more honest and successful attempts of kind of folding country into another style.
Yeah. No, okay, I'm looking up the history of that song. Yeah, 1961. William Bell. Interesting.
Do you see Isaac Hayes playing anywhere on it? I should have looked that
up. No, we had on organ for that one was Jesse Spooky Butler, Donald Duck Dunn on bass, Howard Grimes on drums, and Marvell Thomas on piano. So
okay,
no Isaac on that one, but certainly in the room.
Donald Duck being one of the one of Isaac's like guys too. So he might have been somewhere on there.
I'm sure.
Who knows? So after finishing these Nashville recording sessions, perhaps a bit high on their own supply, the Byrds booked themselves a sort of farewell to Nashville show at the actual Grand Ole Opry. It was doubling as kind of a live debut for many of the tracks they were working on, and then it would also be broadcasted as a radio show. The reception they received there is perhaps a portent of things to come. The audience is quiet and confounded. The kind of Southern conservative crowd did not care for, they didn't care how dedicated Graham and the Byrds were to making the music authentic. Just the mere vision of them and their, these are the hippy dippy turn guys, even with their haircuts, which apparently did not go far enough, were kind of confusing and disturbing to the audience.
You're still the Byrds.
Yeah. Roger McGuinn again being quoted in Music Connection. He says, I remember it. It was a funny night in retrospective. We were a little nervous because we were out of our league. Our hair was pretty short. It was not shoulder length anymore. I think I might have had bangs, but if you saw me in that haircut today, you would consider it a fairly conservative haircut. There are pictures of our hair in the booklet. I should have looked that up. Anyway, he goes on. So we get there, and there's this kind of cold shoulder feeling going on. We get up to do our songs. The audience is polite, but not really into it. And then Graham hijacks the whole thing. We were supposed to do a Merle song, and he took it over and wanted to sing a song for his grandma because he knew she would be listening, and it was a surprise to everybody. Anyway, so that's what happened.
I think. Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, so that's what happened, and everybody got mad at us. The Grand Ole Opry was mad for us straying from the set list that we agreed on, I guess because it was radio and they have rigid times, publishing details, and licensing issues and all that to deal with. And we didn't care that much, but I thought it was very funny that Graham did that. In a Graham Parsons biography by Ben Fong Torres, the scene is described thusly. It says, the original plan for the Byrds was to perform a Merle Haggard standard in an attempt to appease the Opry crowd. Tom Glazer, who introduced the band, even mentioned the upcoming Haggard tune as a performative segue, perhaps to prime the audience a little bit. But when Parsons switched things up mid-show by playing Hickory Wind instead, the radio program's hosts grew irate in the wings. Quote, the Glazer brothers flipped out, Parsons said. They were yelling at us from off the stage and stomping up and down. So shortly after that show, the group fared no better on a planned radio interview with Nashville radio DJ Ralph Emery, who is kind of the Southern equivalent of John Peel, apparently. He spent most of their interview making fun of them, disparaging Bob Dylan, and refusing to play the record that they brought, which was the single for You Ain't Going Nowhere. He eventually does play the single and then calls it terrible and calls them mediocre.
Wow.
A really great press outing on the radio for the Byrds.
Well, and forgive me if you're going to mention it, but they were actually banned from the Opry for that stunt too.
Oh, really?
And they weren't invited back until 2018 when they did a 50th anniversary tour and celebration of Sweetheart of the Rodeo. McGuinn and Hillman.
I'm sure that was really fun.
Yeah, but I don't know. I would love to find the audio of this, and it'd be kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, if it was on the radio, it might be out there. So subsequent shows that they book in Los Angeles aren't much better. Byrds fans are just as confounded with this new direction for the band. The boys were too hippie for Country Town and too country for Hippie Town.
Well said. Yeah.
So this series of failures kind of emboldens McGuinn to take the reins back from Parsons. He docks his pay, despite his huge influence on the album. Remember, Parsons is technically still just a hired hand, not a full member of the Byrds. He refuses Graham's request to hire a full-time pedal steel player, and he also shoots down Graham's idea to have the record titled or credited to Graham Parsons and the Byrds rather than just the Byrds.
Can't blame a guy for trying. Shit.
No. Yeah, you miss 100% of the album
poker games you don't go to late at night.
You don't attempt. But yeah, the final blow to Parsons' album coup attempt, actually happens in the post-production process for the album when Lee Hazelwood, who I believe actually shows up on the NME Top 500 along with Nancy Sinatra, he threatens legal action against Graham because the International Submarine Band is actually on Lee Hazelwood's label LHI. And he claims that Graham is still under contract via the International Submarine Band and can't appear on this Byrds album. So in the confusion of whether or not Graham could even, legally be on this thing, Roger McGuinn quickly re-records a bunch of Graham's lead vocals on songs. In particular, The Christian Life, You Don't Miss Your Water, and perhaps the biggest fuck you, Graham's own song 100 Years From Now.
Wow.
But you can go back and listen to, you can go back and listen to a lot of the original versions via the special edition albums and added tracks and stuff like that. Not shockingly, the focus of a lot of those special editions is getting Graham back on a lot of stuff and kind of spotlighting him. Very
so. I mean, those are good versions. I mean, the songs I like.
I mean, I do
both
prefer
versions.
them. I'm a Graham guy.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah. So various sources, including Graham himself and producer on the album, Gary Usher, suggest that McGuinn may not have been entirely motivated by the legal troubles. They actually clear up pretty quickly, I would assume, via some kind of cashola exchange. And even on the official album, Graham does still feature on lead vocals for Hickory Wind, You're Still on My Mind, and Life in Prison. But the end result is the album ends up a little more balanced between him and the OG Byrds members than was originally planned. So having put the recording process behind them, the band schedules a international tour starting in July with a return to England. And then afterwards, they're meant to continue on to South Africa. But after their one date in the UK, Graham Parsons declares that he will refuse to travel with the band to South Africa out of protest for the country's racist apartheid government. Which I believe we talked about on the Graham episode a little bit.
Wasn't that his excuse to just hang out and get high?
Yes. McGuinn and Hillman both doubt Graham's claim. They say that he was never that political and that they believe he was just done with the Byrds and wanted to stay in the UK to hang out with his new friends, Mick Jagger and Keith Richards. Others say that Graham was afraid of flying and didn't want to be part of an international tour. But either way, no matter what the real reason was, the decision effectively ends Graham's employment in the Byrds, which shockingly only lasted 5 months.
Wow.
all of this happens over the span of 5 months.
Damn, they made it count.
But it's pretty fateful for everyone involved.
The
Byrds do replace Graham with Clarence White, aforementioned Clarence White, which leads to a era that a lot of people stealthily think was kind of a really good time for the Byrds. Graham and then shockingly Chris Hillman both go on to form. They revive the Flying Burrito Brothers and put out a really good album that I'm forgetting the name of, but I bet you it's right on top of my Spotify because I'm constantly listening to it. Let's see. It is called Gilded Palace of Sin. The Flying Burrito Brothers album is the one that they make after this. Very, very, very good album for Graham fans. So Sweetheart of the Radio, despite some critical approval in general, never really found its audience. It peaks at number 77 on the US LPs chart. It doesn't chart at all in the UK. But in the interim, it's been recognized as something special. I think we talked about Graham and this album in particular kind of plant the seeds of like the coming versions of American country roots music and rock.
Mm-hmm.
And, eventually other people kind of fulfill Graham's dream and make it real. So like
somebody
like
had to be the first to crash and burn and do it, but at the end of the day, like
no pun intended.
Yeah,
I was sitting there.
Maybe.
People like Emmylou Harris, Outlaw Country, the Eagles,
totally.
Graham's own posthumous legend, and the alt country movement decades later. All of them are heavily indebted to those sessions in Nashville and Hollywood.
Well, and then even like famed Grinch, Pitchfork Media. I think I sent you that review last night. It was a 9.7, in 2003.
The legacy edition of this album gets a 9.7 from Pitchfork, and a pretty glowing review. I mean, obviously with a 9.7.
History has a way of, righting the ship sometimes.
Yeah. I'll let a few quotes close it out. So this is the newspaper, the San Diego Troubadour, in a review of the 50th anniversary box set. It says, quote, "Whatever you call the sounds on Sweetheart of the Rodeo, there is no denying that it served as a substantial game changer for anyone who considers themselves part of the Americana movement of the last 3 decades. It certainly would have taken a far more circuitous route to arrive at Poco, Working Men's Dead, the Eagles, the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, or countless others who added rock and roll's backbeat to the pedal steel twang and close harmonies of traditional country music. And the fact that a bunch of pot-smoking longhairs were playing music typically espoused by so-called rednecks made for a rich confluence that confounded most listeners at the time. And after an era of producing and refining the psychedelic music during 65 and 67, Sweetheart of the Rodeo was perhaps the most surreal adventure that the Byrds had ever embarked upon." And then finally, I'll let Roger McGuinn himself close it out with Music Connection. And they ask him, "How do you now view Sweetheart of the Rodeo?" And he says, "What we did was very country. If you listen to country today, it was certainly more country than anything that's on country radio. Like country radio to me is rock and roll." And he laughs. "I'm very happy with this new expanded edition." And then, as you mentioned, perhaps in a full circle moment for the album in 2018, Roger McGuinn and Chris Hillman reunite for the 50th anniversary of Sweetheart. And they go on tour, playing it and recounting stories from the album. And there's a live recording of that tour that was made available as part of Record Store Day 2024.
Oh,
so I don't know if
amazing.
it's available, but it's available.
I'd have to look into that. Obviously we encourage folks to go back and listen to the Graham episode if they haven't heard it. But would you paraphrase briefly what became of Graham and his exciting celebration of life?
Yeah, I think it's actually a pretty good. This is a pretty good dovetail with the Grievous Angel episode that we did, because I think it's right about here where we get like kind of more serious into his biography. He becomes a big influence on the Rolling Stones at the time, right there. He kind of dips in and out of his own bands, usually coming in, making a country rock thing, and then either drifting away or being kicked out because he's doing too many drugs. And then eventually he teams up with Emmylou Harris, who is more successful than most at keeping him away from drugs. And they drop his final 2 albums, GP and Grievous Angel, which are both super, super good. Grievous Angel, obviously ends up on the NME Top 500 list, and we have an episode about it. And then from there he dies in a bizarre Joshua Tree accident. Maybe not that bizarre, but...
Well, and then the whole stealing of his body.
There's a wacky story involving his casket that gets retold in full on that episode. So synergistic promotion. Go listen to the Grievous Angel episode of Indie 500 podcast.
We'll have it linked in the description for sure.
Yeah. So I'm really curious what your personal thoughts were on this album. Has your opinion of cosmic American music gone up or down?
Mm, I guess like speaking to the album as a whole, um, I think we said it earlier. There's parts of this album that are like 90-10. This is country, um, and then there's parts that are maybe 60-40, and even more so leaning to the rock. I'd say for me, if it wasn't so twangy, I probably would like it even more of the country stuff. It's more of just the instrumentation because I think the lyrics are really good. I think the song structures are really good. For whatever reason, like the mandolin banjo kind of stuff doesn't vibe for me personally.
No,
But like
that's a
this
wall
lives
for a
in a
lot of people.
you're right. This lives in a space for me, a lot of it, kind of where like the Grateful Dead is, where this is like very nice, cool, relaxing, driving around, calming music about life, stories about life. And then, it isn't like overly flamboyant in terms of like guitar solos like the Dead or anything like that, but it's just really all well played.
Hmm.
And even like, again, I don't like the twangy stuff, but I can recognize that it's really well done. So I do like it. I think hearing about Flying Burrito Brothers again and knowing where this falls in the timeline, I think I do want to go back and listen to that again, and kind of just give that another shot. I'll probably never be a country guy, and I'm okay saying that. Um, but like, there's some really good stuff on here.
Yeah,
The,
I
the
don't.
Dylan songs are good.
Yeah, I don't think I'm a country guy either. But like, it's like I don't know. I'm not guilty about it, but it lives in the realm of guilty pleasure where I'm like, this is my thing.
Right.
I'm probably not going to play it in the car for everybody when there's other people in there, but when it's just me or my son
Right.
who
I
has
mean,
no say in the
yeah,
matter.
like you're talking about, like the Christian life. Like, if I took that song in face value, like, no thanks, not really.
Yeah.
Little cheesy, but at the same time, like knowing these guys, the context, and just how they made that song, and turned it into their own, it's really good. Um, you Don't Miss Your Water. I really really like that song. That's like one that um, on like the no skips list part of this album. Like, yeah, I'd listen that one through every time. Um, what else?
Yeah, I
Hickory
think
Wind.
hmm
Yeah, that's a good one.
that's a really good one. I think the
100 I mean, yeah,
two,
100 years from now, both the Graham originals I
yeah,
liked, and
that's
Life in
interesting. Yeah,
Prison.
the ones that are his originals are really interesting. Very interesting writing.
Totally. I think I'm looking at the ones that maybe like weren't my favorite. I want to say Blue Canadian Rockies just eh, didn't didn't really
Yeah, I can't
do
really
too much
recall
for
that
me.
one off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I really enjoy um, I really enjoy the two Dylan covers because they
Hmm.
feel that's where you feel the birdsiness of the birds pushing back against pushing back against Graham's whole thing, and it ends up in a very cool mix. Um, and I was really shocked to hear the International Submarine Band even have that same kind of balance.
Hmm.
Um, there's some really rockin' stuff on International Submarine Band.
Well, and I think it's funny too, like they capitalized on that Dylan thing with the radio spot. It's the Birds and they're doing Dylan.
Yeah,
Like,
they're like,
uh,
that's their
you,
thing. That's what the birds are.
undeniable. Yeah, like literally the first and last track are Bob Dylan, and in between are like influences of Dylan. Like, Dylan loved Guthrie. All these Merle Haggard. These are people that fed into Dylan. Therefore, Dylan's feeding into the Birds and everything. So it's kind of it's a fun take on things.
Well, unless you got any more, I think that's our time with the Birds and Sweetheart of the Rodeo. I was, it's funny if you listen to the one. We did our tier list. The tier list was the last episode we did, right?
Hmm.
And at the end of that one, we were like, "Hey, let's roll and stick something in the queue." And this album is what we ended up on, but I can't remember. I mean, we'll talk about it, but I can't remember what was actually supposed to be next. Oh, Joni Mitchell. Joni Mitchell's
Hmm.
Blue is supposed to be next, but we've
Yeah.
been lining up interviews and stuff as we often want to do when it's either a very important female artist, women's artist, or not our racial makeup. We don't
Yeah.
want to be two white guys telling you being the only sources on what Joni Mitchell's about like that.
We don't want to be the food truck charging
That
$25 for pad
that
thai.
does
Yeah.
yeah, that doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
So we've been working on that, but one of the things we said was, okay, well, in the meantime, why don't we do one of the other bands in the queue? And I immediately said to you, hey, I'm not going to force it. I'm not going to force Sweetheart of the Radio, but despite what people may think, you were the one who said, but I want to do Sweetheart of the Radio.
Yeah. And like the whole thing that I took away from like the Grievous Angel episode is like the story is even more interesting to me
Oh
than
yeah.
like the music itself. And that's the fun part of, doing this is uncovering all these little, you
Oh yeah.
know, anecdotes and quotes and whatnot. And I mean, shit, they got banned for going off script with the Grand Ole Opry on the radio. Like, who does that? Fucking Graham Parsons
Yeah.
does that.
That's fun. All right. Well, let's leave this one behind and perhaps peer into some other lists.
Yes. Well, as we always like to ask around this time.
What do you know about the multiverse?
The multiverse. Fizz had his theories. He believed it was real and dangerous.
Well, he was right about both.
More dangerous than a manager or a, horse trainer getting a pool cue? I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see. So in this segment of the show, we break out the old Eye of Agamotto on loan from the Sorcerer Supreme himself, Dr. Stephen Strange, to peer into alternate universe to see what might have been if this podcast was about a different list, like, say, the Rolling Stones' greatest albums of all time. A reminder, this is number 351 on the top 500. So for the Rolling Stones top 500, that is SZA with her album SOS from 2022. She, at least for me, I know her from her work with Kendrick Lamar and touring with him and everything like that. Do you know this album very much?
I don't. I didn't
Okay.
even know that we were supposed to say SZA instead of SZA.
I'm not 100% sure that I'm right, for what it's worth. This is our dad pop culture knowledge on display here, folks. So forgive one of us, I'm imagining. I'm sure she's
on
at the Super Bowl with
she's
him.
on the Kendrick Lamar. Yeah, I believe she was at the Super Bowl, and she works alongside Kendrick Lamar a lot, especially on that GNX album. I really really like the song they did together on that one called Luther. That's a big
Great
track from GNX. Love that one.
Yes. So
But
that
that's the extent of my SZA knowledge.
same. I mean, like, I feel bad saying that, but yes, she has an album on the Rolling Stone Top 500 all of her
Good for
own.
her.
So the Rolling Stone list circa 2003, though, just to show how much music has evolved since then, was Dire Straits' Brothers in Arms. So that's the one that had Money for Nothing, Sultans of Swing, like all the big ones. But 20 something years of pop music kind of pushed that one back a bit. On the Rolling Stone Top 500 songs, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Whitney Houston, I Want to Dance with Somebody.
I'm gonna dance with somebody.
That's
Yes.
a good one there. Now this one, I have trouble recalling this one, but I know at the end of the day when I hear it, I'll say, oh, of course. NME Top 500 songs, Oasis, Half the World Away, off the album The Master Plan.
Well, it is number 351. I didn't even know Oasis had 500 songs.
Right.
Man.
No, this isn't top 500 Oasis songs. This is top 500 NME songs, just in general.
NME songs? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, well, that's a little better.
Yeah, right.
That's not
But
as crazy.
To
I was
the
like,
point,
Jesus Christ,
for a
Oasis
song
have
ranked
500 songs?
right? To the point, though, like you would think if it was a top 500 song, I would know it, but I don't recall this one.
I'm trying to pull up the lyrics on this one to see if you can keep going, but I'll.
Okay. So looking at the top grossing movies of all time, number 351, you mentioned Rosemary's Baby earlier. So this one,
I'm just gonna
we
play
go to
this.
it.
I don't.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah,
Okay, keep going. I'll find it.
no problem. So yeah, Rosemary's Baby came up earlier, another horror icon. The Exorcist ranks number 351 on top grossing movies of all time with 430 million made worldwide. man, kind of funny that we're now back into another horror renaissance here this year. Ooh, what you got there? Oasis does Graham Parsons.
All right, so it's no Wonderwall.
No. Yeah, I don't recall that one.
He just said, "I'll book myself into a soul asylum." Let's keep talking over this so we don't get a strike.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So moving on to the IGN Top 500 Mathematically Derived Video Game Rankings. I believe we were familiar with this one, Wipeout XL.
Oh, I could do a whole episode on. I mean, we've already talked about Wipeout XL with Professor Ray.
I have in my episode notes here. Have you ever heard of that one?
Yes. Yeah, Wipeout XL is maybe my favorite game I had on PlayStation 1. That's where I really got into The Prodigy and a lot of other electronic music.
Yeah.
Great game.
Yeah, it is a good one. I was just looking for, other 350 ones that have occurred in pop culture, the world, whatever you want to call it, because there aren't a lot of lists that go that far. But I thought it was interesting. In 1969, the Ford 351 engine, a 351 cubic inch V8 engine powered the original Ford Mustang and the Ford Torino, invented by Chief Engineer Bill Gay. Yes, that's his name, Bill Gay. But that's when the engine came out. It was in 1969, the Ford 351. So there's a little look at the multiverse.
Is Bill Gay played by anyone in Ford v Ferrari?
That's a great question. I was wondering if it was going to be a name I recognized in that movie when I was reading about that. Let's see. So there is a line where one of them, it looks like Christian Bale's character, or sorry.
Yeah, he's in that, isn't he? I feel like this is I feel like there was there's the F1 movie, and then there's this, and then there's like one or two other racing movies, and I feel like I only watched Ford v Ferrari.
The newer, both are good. I mean, they're all really good, actually. I mean, I don't watch racing, and I don't think you do either, but these movies are really good.
Yeah. Rush is like one of my favorite movies ever.
Oh, that's a good one.
The Ron Howard one with Hemsworth and the handsome Nazi from
Daniel Bruhl.
Yeah. Yeah, that movie is that's one of those dad movies, It's not real flashy. It's just pretty solid. It's
just good.
It's about a nerdy subject, but goddamn, it's made well. Everybody in it's really good.
I'm going to tell you right now, though, I think I'm going to abandon the search for Bill Gay and Ford vs Ferrari, because the first result on my search engine was every Matt Damon movie ranked by how gay he is in them.
Well, if he played Bill Gay, that would be up there.
But hey,
I think he was playing somebody else in that, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Shelby.
Yeah, Carol Shelby.
They named the Shelby cars after, right?
Exactly.
All right.
But hey, Pride Weekend, hats off to Bill Gay.
Oh yeah, there you go. It's our Pride episode.
Exactly.
We talked about Bill Gay. There you go.
All right. Well,
representation matters.
Wraps up the multiverse. That wraps up the Bird Sweetheart of the Rodeo.
Well, we've been going with no breaks. We're a minute away here from 2 hours. Do you need to use the bathroom?
Well, I tell you what. If we were to meet in the bathroom, I might have a little magic recipe for you.
Yes. How about you meet me in the bathroom? A segment, just wonderful wonderful radio audio work here. Meet Me in the Bathroom, spelled MEAT. Meet Me. Meet Me in the Bathroom. It's a segment we often have where our host Helio, who in another life is a true blue top chef to the stars often, he comes in with a recipe that we think will pair well with the album that we have this week. So what do you have for us food-wise for the Byrds' Sweetheart of the Rodeo?
So I do have a late addition to this. So I'm actually going to do 2 recipes for this write-up.
I'll take it.
But just like the Byrds, it's never too late to incorporate a little change, go a little different direction with something tried and true. So I did, I think, last year share my original recipe for fried chicken, which is like a 3-day process with the buttermilk soak and letting the flour stick on there overnight, blah, blah, blah. But recently I went and tried to do like a different recipe based on Azel's chicken, and it is probably like the best chicken I've ever made. So I'm going to share that recipe. The nice thing is it's only a day-long process. Like you brine it day 1, and then you make the mix to bread it and dredge it the next day, and you cook it, and it's like spot on. So I'm going to do that. And then also, because, what's the Byrds' Sweetheart of the Rodeo without a little graham? I think we're going to do some s'mores brownies with the graham cracker crust in there, just because you need some grahams. You need a little something sweet after that chicken. So yeah, we'll have chicken and brownies up there for you.
Excellent. Yeah. Yep. I always love talking fried chicken with you and making my own little, nobody here is going to allow me 3 days to to work on fried chicken. So, so
I don't even do it at home just because, we don't want the fire smell.
But yeah, I've, I take some of the insights and I try and fold them into the version I do here, and it always comes out good. I need to do it again. I might be able to convince somebody to do it today. We'll see.
I got to do it too this weekend.
All right.
So as we're wrapping up here, we're about to roll for the next episode.
Yeah, let's do that. Well, while I set up here, can you read me off a few of what we have coming up? We've kind of evolved the list of what is coming up is more of a it's a corral, if you will, in rodeo terms. It's a corral of albums, and sometimes we take them in order, sometimes we don't.
Absolutely.
So tell me, what is in the corral right now? We mentioned Joni Mitchell's Blue is supposed to be coming up next.
We have an album
I've listened to a lot. In that in the time not doing an episode on it.
Right.
And I like it a lot. But
That's very good.
Let me know what else is in there.
These 2 there's a couple I need to still check out. Smother is the album by Wild Beasts.
I listened to that a little bit.
Primary Colors by a group called The Horrors. This one, I think, maybe I don't know it super well, but I know it well enough. Surfer Rosa by the Pixies.
Mm-hmm.
And then Up the Bracket by the Libertines.
Yeah, we got a lot of what did that one article call that? All the like UK post strokes.
Exactly, like the post.
It was a mean name, but it was kind of, the article was looking back on it fondly. I don't remember if they called it like, it was like garbage indie or disposable.
Shovelware indie, who knows?
Yeah, but I think a lot of that in there. I mean, I don't know because I don't really know them, but it sounds like a few of those in there are going to be of that ilk. Anyways, I am setting up for a new spin to grab a new album to add to our list there. I am once again assuring the audience that I am spinning 1 through 500, not 1 through 100.
You may find yourself in another part of the world. And you may find yourself, by the way, as many Americans do, behind the wheel of a large automobile. But perhaps most importantly, folks, and let me be clear, you may find yourself in a beautiful house with a beautiful wife. You're going to ask yourself, how did I get here? How did I get here?
Okay.
Great question.
I'm glad you included the second. Sometimes we cut it off before he gets to the second. How did I get here? How did I get here?
It really puts a bow on the whole thing.
Yeah. Okay. I'm hitting stop now. Stop. All right. Well, we're not traveling too far. Number 328.
328.
I will begin scrolling towards it, but if you could pull it up and maybe. All right. You're making a face. Is there a way you can describe this to me that I may be able to? I might be able to figure it out. What do we say? 328. 328.
You're going to be humming and hawing until I get to the last 3 words of the description. I'll tell you that.
Oh, okay.
And that's going to tell you everything you need to know. All right. This is a 2002 album from Warner Brother Records. Their biggest commercial hit, Blank, found ringleader Wayne Coyne confronting mortality, melancholy, and alien robot invasions.
Oh, well, I mean, you said Wayne Coyne. Wayne Coyne in 2002. That's Yoshimi battles the pink robots.
It sure is. Yeah.
Hey, all right. Yeah, that's a very good album. I'm glad to have that in the future there.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I recall really, really loving like 2 or 3 tracks on there. Yeah.
That's how I've always felt about it. Like, I was going to put it on, listen to the whole thing, and it's like, I just get to the ones I like.
Yeah.
But I think this will force me to kind of dig in a little more. Yeah.
Okay. I will travel towards number 1. You travel towards 500 and tell me if you see anything good in there. Immediately, the album right before it, 327, is Beck's Mutations, which I feel like is a pretty underrated.
334 is The Avalanches, Since I Left You.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. MC5, Kick Out the Jams. 331, 329, David Bowie Heroes.
Okay. More Beck up at 325, Sea Change. 323, Miles Davis's Bitches Brew.
Ooh. 337, the Grey Album, Danger Mouse.
Oh, yep. There's gonna be some reworking of our own going on when we do that one, if I recall correctly, as part of the negotiations of the tournament. LCD Sound System shows up at 322 with the follow-up album to the one that we did an episode on, the album called This Is Happening. That was the last album before their farewell concert, their quote-unquote farewell concert. Graham Parsons' Grievous Angel shows up at 317.
Yeah, I was going to say, we got some familiar territory here. 339, Pearl Jam's 10. 341, Closing Time, Tom Waits, episodes we've done.
309, Metallica's Black Album.
Oh.
Boy, they're really bunching up all the Beck albums here, because at 307 is Midnight Vultures.
Midnight Vultures, I see that, yeah. Interesting.
302, Daft Punk's Homework, which I have a note here that says should be higher, but I can't wait until we land on some Daft Punk.
Well, and then I guess just to go back on the what's in the chamber type thing, we also still have our 501 episodes to knock out too.
Yeah.
So, Tom Petty, Full Moon Fever, Peter Gabriel, So, Carr's self-titled debut album, and Opeth's Blackwater Park.
Yeah. It's always shocking hearing what got through there when I'm trying to remember what could have got through, but that is a good list.
It is. It's a diverse list at that too. So yeah, we'll surprise you with whatever we have next time.
Yeah. Well, shit. We did it.
We did it.
After a big long break, we came back and like knocked the shit out of one. I'm proud and it feels good.
Yeah, I mean, I think with that, the cause for some celebrating music. Here we go.
Pump Up the Jam is an anagram of Jam Up the Pump.
Pump up the jam, pump it up while your feet are stumping. And the jam is pumping. Look ahead, the crowd is jumping. Pump it up a little more, get the party going on the dance floor. See, cause that's where the party's at, and you find out if you do that.
And buying the Teddy Shields fuzz pedal from Fender. Oh, we're doing everything now.
Introducing this app.
I was there. I'm looking at one of the
Snape said, "No
Kunk on Earth to Pump Up the Jam segues, and one of the subtitles says, This song was played 5 times in a row at the
I was
funeral
first
of
guy
director
playing
Stanley Kubrick.
Frank Sinatra's "In the Wee Small Hours" to the rock bands.
I hope that's true. I really do.
I don't think it is.
Introducing this app. I'm introducing this app
All
to
right, Paul.
the listeners who somehow made the episode.
There we go. That's the extra. That's the outro music.
It's the end of our pod. It's the end of our pod. It's the end of our pod. It's the end of our pod.
All right. Until next time.
Adios, and thanks for listening.
What did they say on Nothing Was Delivered? Nothing's better, nothing's best. Take care of yourself and get plenty of rest.
Can you just pack up your money and pick up your tent already? Again.
Watch out, Dylan's gonna get you.
Oh, yeah.